Y'all see Gene, I'm telling y'all, man, somebody better punch him in the face. Somebody better do something to him, man. He out here doing this, that, and we be like, all right.
Thank you, Roger Bonds, for putting it out there. It came to life for y'all. It came to life for y'all that this dude wanted me dead way before I came to YouTube. What he look like telling somebody to whoop my ass? He didn't tell him that. He wanted me in the dirt and was trying to rock me to sleep.
Gene Deal has been on a mission, hopping on interviews, podcasts, and live streams, dropping story after story about Diddy's darkest secrets, pulling back the curtain on the bad boy era we were never supposed to hear about. But with every bombshell he drops, Gene admits he's moving cautiously, almost like he's dodging shadows, because he knows exactly how much power Diddy holds and just how far he might go to silence someone. And here's the chilling part. Those fears aren't just paranoia. Roger Bonds, Diddy's former head of security, just admitted he was once told to do the very same thing. Go after people who crossed Diddy. That doesn't just back up Gene's story, it makes the whole situation 10 times scarier. This isn't just wild, it's dramatic, and it's deadly serious. Because when Roger Bonds, the man who once stood closest to Diddy's inner circle, goes public with a warning like this, you know it's not clout-chasing gossip. This is a man who lived inside that world, who saw the darkness up close, and who now fears that same playbook of intimidation, violence, and silence is being used against Gene Deal. And the crazy thing is, Gene isn't even trying to start beef. He's simply been telling his truth, telling the world what he saw during his years inside Bad Boy. But now, those truths might just cost him his life.
And there's a lot online. How you feel about the people that say that you should be worried if Diddy get out?
Needs something to say, bro. I'm not gonna worry about somebody that I bodyguard. I'm not gonna worry about somebody that I bodyguard. And God knows I could bodyguard myself with his blessings. I could bodyguard myself with his blessings, bro. I'm not worried about that. Nothing beats an ambush, and I know that. But I'm not worried about his shit. People just need to talk about something. They want to have something to say, man. Oh, Gene gotta be worried, so like that. So, shouldn't I have been worried when he was out here on the street? When he was out here on the street, I should have been worried. Yo, bro, August the 14th, 1999, high-speed chase in Harlem. You understand? How I didn't know that he didn't send nobody after me then. Cause niggas do that shit. They'll send somebody at you. I've seen dudes that do shit and they have Nick right there in the same clique and they didn't even know he did it. So how I know those 4 guys, 5 guns to my head wasn't sitting by him. When Roger Bonds come and say later that Diddy wanted something done to Gene Deal. How I know? That shit made the news.
So let's break this down, because what's happening here is bigger than just a feud. This is about Diddy's collapsing empire, the federal trial breathing down his neck, and the way former insiders like Roger Bonds and Gene Deal are exposing secrets the mogul never wanted the world to know. And the closer we look, the scarier it gets. First, let's remember who the players are. Roger Bonds isn't some random guy on YouTube. For nearly a decade, from 2003 to 2012, he was Diddy's head of security. He was the one protecting Diddy in clubs, at award shows, and behind the scenes, trusted to handle situations most of us couldn't even imagine. But along the way, Bonds also became a witness. He saw the way Diddy handled his circle. He saw the power plays, the intimidation tactics, and eventually, he reached his breaking point. He walked away. Since then, he's been speaking out more and more, revealing what really happened behind the curtain. And when Roger Bonds talks, people listen, because he's not dealing in secondhand rumors. He's speaking from direct experience.
So let me ask you a question. How long before you started working with him did you start to see like red flags and did you know like, damn, this is kind of crazy? Was it like immediate, or was it like he gained your trust and you started vibing and you started seeing shit? Or was it like off the rip you knew like, hey, something up with him?
Now, enter Gene Deal. If you've been following this saga, his name has been ringing out everywhere lately. Gene isn't some outsider looking in. He's a former bodyguard who was right there inside Bad Boy during its golden era, back when Diddy was shaping the careers of legends like the notorious B.I.G. Maze and others who defined an entire generation of hip-hop. Gene wasn't just a witness to history. He was part of the machinery that kept it running. He stood in the shadows at sold-out concerts, outside VIP rooms, in hotel hallways, where deals were made and secrets were kept. And ever since Gene walked away from Bad Boy, he's been speaking out, telling people what it was really like once you stripped away all the glitz and glamour. And right after Gene stepped down, his successor, Roger Bonds, eventually came forward too, backing up pieces of Gene's story with his own. Some of Gene's claims line up perfectly with what Roger revealed, making them more than just believable. They prove Gene was right all along.
Man, listen here. I want to let this young lady know, and I know this is not the place for it, brother, but please allow me to say this to her, man. You know what I'm saying? I started this battle long time ago. And the situation is that, bruh, we already won. This was some spiritual shit that Pop, the spirit of Pop, the spirit of Big, the spirit of Miss Jones, the spirit of Wolf, all the people that he has done wrong, you know, so Black, all the people that he has done wrong, bruh, is coming to light. We already won this shit spiritual. What we going through right now with these trials and everybody, you know, with this financial situation and everything like that, all that is superficial. That's the physical part of it. The spiritual part of it was won because Big, Pac, Wolf Mother, all the people that he did wrong, bruh, you understand? They already won the battle where we were supposed to win it at. So now we just going through the physical part of it, man. And I want that girl to know, man, that she ain't gotta fear no man. She ain't gotta fear him, nobody else, man. Whenever she needs, you understand? Whenever she needs somebody to travel, to go with her, to make sure she all right, you know, I'm a phone call away, man. I'm a phone call away. And you know, go ahead with your questioning, man. I just had to get that out, man, because that girl touched a lot of people, man, because all she wanted to do was write music, make music, and show her talent and her love to the people, man. And then she got to feel this way, be fearful and scared of her life and stuff like that. Ma, I ain't scared of no man. You understand? I ain't scared of no man. Nobody that got to put their pants on the same way I do. Not at all.
And for the people that don't know who Tiffany Red is, that's Cassie's best friend.
That's one of Cassie's friends. She was writing a lot of music, and she said that she was writing music for her friends to get. Oh my God, man.
And here's the key difference. While Roger Bonds is measured, reflective, and almost careful in the way he delivers his truths, Gene is raw, unfiltered, fiery. He speaks with an emotion that feels less like a rehearsed statement and more like years of bottled up truth finally spilling out. That rawness is exactly why his interviews go viral, but it's also why he's got a massive target on his back. Because when you're not just telling the story, but telling it with passion, anger, and zero filter, you become impossible to ignore. And for someone like Diddy, who built an empire on control, someone like Gene Deal isn't just inconvenient, he's dangerous.
Man, you know, leopard don't change his spots, and Diddy been doing this real long time, bro. He been doing this for a long time. And now another artist, this artist didn't wait 10 years. You know what I'm saying? He didn't wait 20 years. You understand? He waited a year or two after he stopped working with him and saw he didn't get what he was supposed to get. And he said, yo, listen here, man. I'm putting in my claims right now because I'm gonna show everybody what really happened, what really went down. It's crazy. When I was reading it, I read the whole thing. Shout out to Keisha in Kansas City. she sent me the whole documentation, bro, and you know the whole court thing. And when I'm reading the stuff, you know, it sound a lot of it sound familiar. You understand? And what I mean sound familiar, how he would get other girls and get girls to try to, you know, convince this guy, you know, or put him in a situation with other girls so he could do whatever he wanted to do with them. And it's just like the situation somewhat with Sarah and her girlfriend and him and Ja. You know what I'm saying? Bringing girls on to try to convince this other guy to be in a room with another naked man and all this other bullshit. Yo, it all sound familiar, man. I read the whole thing, man, and it was crazy.
And for the people that don't know what you're talking about, because the lawsuit is new, so, you know, some people still catching up with it. Little Rod, he alleges that, you know, Young Miami cousin tried to have in front of Diddy.
Yeah, he went into the bathroom, and then she came into the bathroom and tried to, you know, throw herself on him. He didn't want to have nothing to do with her for whatever reason. And then when he came out the bathroom, she continued to try to do that and try to have, wanted him to have on her, Diddy and the rest of the people that was in there. You know, that's how they do, man. They try to use a girl that you might like or you may think you might like, or they think you might like her or whatever, to convince you to lay down your guards with them. And he didn't.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. And you're not surprised by none of this, because you said that Ja Rule, they did this to him, right?
No, remember, and people got it confused when I said that Ja and him was in the room with two girls, with Sarah and Sarah's girlfriend. You understand? He was trying to get Ja to go at Jay-Z. So what he did was try to get another girl, you understand, to do something with Ja. I guess, I don't know, they in the room together. So when they, in that thing, I know what he was planning on doing because I heard the conversation.
Recently, Bonds went on a podcast and dropped a bombshell. He revealed that Diddy once flat out ordered him and others to physically attack Gene Deal and another bad boy insider, Mark Curry. This wasn't speculation, this wasn't rumor. These were orders. Orders Bonds admits he refused to fully carry out. He said Diddy told him and his crew to punch Gene and Mark for daring to criticize him publicly back in the late 2000s. Just think about that. A billionaire mogul, furious that his old associates were speaking their truth, allegedly ordering violence as retaliation. That's not just petty, that's mob style. And that's why Bonds' warning to Gene now feels so chilling. Because this isn't about old drama, it's about a pattern. If Diddy allegedly ordered attacks before, why wouldn't he try it again? Especially now, when he's facing the biggest legal crisis of his life. Bonds made it clear, Gene isn't safe. The message was simple, almost unspoken, but heavy enough for everyone to feel it. They're coming for you. Be ready. That wasn't entertainment. That was a lifeline, a warning from someone who's seen this playbook before.
As it's getting worse, you getting older. So as you getting older, you getting wiser. And you understand, okay, this stop. You know what I'm saying? None of this stop because it's nobody there to stop it. And this person is becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. So if you becoming stronger and stronger and stronger, what's there to make you stop? You know what I'm saying? Like what I feel like what he's going through now, that's enough to make you stop. You know what I'm saying? But if you ain't never went through this and everything you going through gets swept under the rug, it ain't no reason for you to stop. Bonds ain't gonna make me stop. Bonds is just another security dude. Now I see that. You know what I'm saying? But when you live in it and you going through it, that person knows how to make you feel like, yo, you ain't gonna never gotta worry about nothing because this is what they telling you, this is what you seeing. So each and every day, I'm not gonna lie, you hope that that person wakes up the next morning and a red light went off in their head. Say, yo, I gotta treat better. Or I gotta treat a person better. Or I gotta do this. So that's what you hoping. And then you get to the point where you say, yo, nah, make change. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So one of the main things that happened was I got diabetes. Right, I was in Spain somewhere, and I kept going to the bathroom like every 10 or 15 minutes, and I'm like, what you going to the bathroom for? Somebody said, yo, you know, if you go to the bathroom a lot, you get diabetes. Because you got to remember, we was traveling and moving so much. There was places that we would be at that you wouldn't even drink the water. You know what I'm saying? Or they say, yo, if you from the United States, the water gonna make you sick.
Hell yeah.
You know what I'm
I've
saying?
been to Mexico a few times and got sick as hell off that water.
Oh, for the water.
Yeah,
So you end up drinking sodas and juices all day long. So that's one of the things that happened. So I looked at it as like, that was like one of the ways that God got me out my situation.
So how did Gene Deal respond? With fear, real raw fear. In a recent interview, Gene admitted outright that he needs protection. He said the threats are serious, that he believes people are already moving against him, and that he doesn't feel safe walking around without looking over his shoulder. Think about that. Here's a man who once spent years protecting one of the most powerful names in music, and now he's the one saying he needs a bodyguard just to survive. That shift alone tells you how dark this has gotten.
Drinking and start popping and passing it to dudes around them. I left from the area and got my own table. You not rocking me to sleep. You never rocked me to sleep. Though I worked for you, you wasn't doing no dirt. That's why my days was with you when you had your kids. Because you knew you couldn't do that dirty on me. And that's a good judgment on your behalf. Roger Barnes got on that show and said, yo, we seen Gene plenty of times. But we knew Puff was a and we had to live in Harlem. That's because we know the same people. When Roger Barnes talk to people about me, they gonna say Gene a stand-up dude. Gene was all right, bruh.
Gene even recounted moments where he believes he's already been targeted. Outside a courthouse recently, he said he was provoked by a YouTuber who wouldn't leave him alone, taunting him non-stop. That incident escalated, and Gene claims he knocked the man out cold. But for him, that wasn't just a random altercation. He saw it as part of a bigger pattern, an attempt to bait him, provoke him, destabilize him while he's already under pressure. Whether that's true or not, the paranoia makes sense, because when you're being warned that a billionaire has goons watching you, every shadow starts to feel like a threat. And we can't ignore the timing. All of this is happening while Diddy himself is under siege. The federal trial has been brutal. The allegations of trafficking and coercion are splashed all over the headlines. Cassie Ventura's testimony alone painted a horrifying picture of life inside Diddy's empire. Stories of control, violence, and manipulation. And the lawsuits keep piling up. Former associates are lining up to speak against him. Through it all, Diddy is fighting for his image, his empire, his freedom. So if there was ever a time he'd lean on intimidation tactics to keep people quiet, it's now. Because silence could be the difference between walking free or losing everything. Roger Barnes has been blunt about this. He said he lost respect for Diddy years ago, that the man he once protected became someone he couldn't trust. Barnes described him as emotionless, as someone who doesn't blink when he hurts people. A man whose empire was built not just on talent, but on fear. Heavy words from someone who used to be in his inner circle. And when you pair that with Gene Deal's unfiltered testimony, you see why this has turned into such a volatile situation. These aren't outsiders chasing clicks. These are insiders with receipts, telling their truths. And that makes them dangerous to Diddy.
Because I was starting to get sick in the situation. Like I was starting to wake up in the morning, damn, B, I'm still here. Even though I'm in an exotic country or I'm in an exotic place, I'm like, damn, I'm still here. Because the energy was off. You know what I'm saying? Everything that was going on around you was off. And you were expected just to stand there and do what you're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what's acquired of you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, you know, that was one of the things that made me say, okay, it's time to go. So I used my sickness as one of the reasons, like, yo, you know I can't be traveling with you, and you know I can't be doing this, that, and the other. The doctor said I need to be in a stable place. I need to get a certain amount of sleep. I need a certain type of food.
So you were trying to pull away.
I was trying to pull away. You know what I'm saying? So what I did was I found that they had an opening in Ciroc.
But it also makes them vulnerable, because history tells us what happens when powerful men feel threatened. They retaliate. and the music industry has always been a place where intimidation lurks just below the surface. From Suge Knight's reign of terror in the 90s to countless stories of artists and insiders being silenced through fear, this isn't new. What makes this case different is the visibility. Everything is playing out in public. Every interview, every podcast clip, every viral soundbite, it's all amplifying the drama. And that spotlight is both a shield and a target for Gene Deal.
If you do something to Gene, you're gonna have to deal with Chad, you're gonna have to deal with Slick, you're gonna have to deal with Cage people, you're gonna have to deal with a whole lot of people that love that nigga. And that's the politics of Harlem. Roger Bonds know the politics of Harlem. So you have the homo cats out there right now that's talking all that shit. Gene paid his dues. Because I came here and talked about the character of this dude who wanted me dead. I been knew that. He ain't saying nothing I didn't know. Y'all can find somebody else to play with. That goes to show you what kind of dude this is. Instead of coming to the table to say Big and Tupac, he said it. This is the kind of character that y'all out here saying, that y'all standing up for. People are still alive. Eric B, Big D, Suge Knight. They was gonna squash this East Coast, West Coast before Pac, before Big was dead. He wouldn't even send a representative to the table. Not a table that he ate off of. The table that he got his millions from is having his ass for dessert. No Diddy.
So where does this leave us? Well, if you take Roger Bonds at his word, Gene Deal's life is in real danger. He's been told to watch his back. He's asking for protection, and the man he fears most is still fighting for his freedom in federal court. That's a recipe for chaos, but it also sends a bigger message to the industry. If this is how insiders are treated when they speak out, what does that say to everyone else? How many stories are being buried right now because people are too scared to end up like Gene Deal? That's the real takeaway here. This isn't just about Bonds and Deal versus Diddy. This is about accountability, about whether the most powerful figures in music can keep using fear as a weapon, about whether the culture will keep turning a blind eye or finally demand the truth, no matter how ugly it is. Because make no mistake, what we're watching is the unraveling of an empire. Every interview, every lawsuit, every revelation pulls another thread. And when someone like Bonds steps up with a public warning, it shows just how unstable and dangerous the situation has become. So here's the bottom line. Roger Bonds has issued a direct warning to Gene Deal that Diddy's goons are coming for him. Gene himself says he fears for his life and needs protection. All of this is unfolding against the backdrop of Diddy's federal trial, with shocking testimony and insider confessions already shaking the foundation of Bad Boy's legacy. Once built on glitz and glamour, that legacy is now being exposed as something far darker. And as the walls close in, the very people who once protected Diddy are now protecting themselves from him. This story is still developing and will keep you updated every step of the way. But one thing is crystal clear. The stakes have never been higher, the threats have never been more real, and the fight for truth inside the music industry has never looked more dangerous. So what do you think? Do you believe Roger Bonds' warning? Do you think Gene Deal is in real danger? Or is this just another chapter in the long, messy history of hip-hop feuds? Drop your thoughts in the comments.